Hi guys, electoral bonds. Recently, Supreme Court of India in a landmark judgment declared the electoral bond scheme as unconstitutional and violative of the right to information under Article 19, Clause 1 Subclause A of the Constitution. In this video, we are going to see what's electoral bond and implications of the judgment. This is Bo from Celebrating Minds. Come on, let's get started. This verdict isn't a flight of fancy, but a groundbreaking event that occurred just recently. The Supreme Court of India, the ultimate legal authority, declared the electoral bond scheme, introduced in 2018 to allow anonymous donations to political parties, as unconstitutional and violative of the right to information under Article 19, Clause 1 Subclause A of the Constitution. Today, we're delving into this landmark Supreme Court judgment on electoral bonds, a verdict that could redefine the landscape of political funding in our country. So come on guys, let's get started. Electoral bonds, a seemingly harmless financial instrument, have been at the center of a nationwide debate since their introduction in 2018. These were conceived as a tool to promote transparency in political funding, a move aimed at cleaning up election financing in the country. They were intended to be a vehicle for individuals and corporations to donate to political parties anonymously, thus protecting the donors from any potential backlash. From the outset, the State Bank of India was entrusted with the task of issuing these bonds, which could then be bought by anyone wishing to make a donation. This amount would then go into the coffers of the political party the donor chose, no questions asked. The anonymity provision was touted as a protective measure for donors, but it also sparked considerable controversy. Critics argued that the anonymity clause allowed for unchecked, untraceable funding, potentially opening the door for illicit funds to seep into the political landscape. This, they claimed, was a direct contradiction to the initial promise of transparency that the bonds were supposed to bring. Moreover, the scheme was criticized for favoring the ruling party, as the government, through the finance ministry, had access to the donor details. This raised questions about the level playing field in politics, a concern that was echoed across the political spectrum. Despite the initial promise of transparency, the electoral bond scheme quickly became a hotbed for political contention. This journey of electoral bonds, from a proposed solution to a source of nationwide debate, has been nothing short of dramatic. In a move that shook the nation's political landscape, the Supreme Court declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional. This verdict was no ordinary judgment, as it directly impacted political donations, a significant part of any democratic process. The court found the electoral bond scheme violative of the right to information under Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A of the Constitution. The Supreme Court, in its wisdom, saw that the scheme, introduced in 2018, allowed anonymous donations to political parties, potentially obstructing the citizens' right to information. This right is a fundamental one, ensuring that citizens are well informed, fostering transparency, and promoting accountability in the political sphere. Moreover, the court struck down related amendments to the Companies Act, Income Tax Act, and the Representation of Peoples Act. These were significant legal shifts that had allowed the electoral bond scheme to function in its original form. But the Supreme Court did not stop there. It issued directives to the State Bank of India, the institution at the heart of the electoral bond scheme. The bank is now required to provide details of electoral bonds to the Election Commission of India by the 31st of March 2024. This information will be available for public scrutiny, adding another layer of transparency to political donations. With this verdict, the Supreme Court has sent a clear message about the importance of transparency and accountability in the political sphere. The Supreme Court's verdict on electoral bonds has far-reaching implications for electoral politics, democracy, transparency, and accountability in India. This landmark judgment has the potential to significantly alter the course of political funding. From now on, anonymous donations to political parties are a thing of the past. Transparency is the new norm, and every citizen has the right to know the source of political donations. In summary, the Supreme Court's decision upholds the right to information, strikes down related amendments, and mandates the State Bank of India to share details of electoral bonds for public scrutiny. As we move forward, it remains to be seen how this verdict will reshape the landscape of political funding in the nation. To see more such content, subscribe to our channel Celebrating Minds.